In this video, we will tap into the movie Top Gun Maverick. We will discuss the movie's story, summarize the plot, and explore the cast and characters. Additionally, we will cover the movie's production details and box office performance. Finally, we will provide a review and share some personal reactions. Let's begin with the movie story. The opening text mentions how in 1969 the US Navy established a school for fighter pilots. It is officially referred to as Fighter Weapon School, but the recruits call it Top Gun. We see several recruits and Navy men on the ships where the pilots take off or make their returns. Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell, played by Tom Cruise, rides his motorcycle to a base where he is set for a scramjet flight demonstration. But he is told that Rear Admiral Chester Hammer Chain, played by Ed Harris, is on his way to shut the program down to redirect funds elsewhere. Not feeling deterred, Maverick takes the jet just as Kane arrives and he flies it into the sky, taking it past its original Mach 9 projection and hitting Mach 10, to the delight of the crew. However, Maverick tries to take it faster and ends up wrecking the jet, but he managed to eject in time. Kane chews Maverick out of his actions, but while he wants to have Maverick grounded, Kane instead informs him that he has been called back to NAS North Island by his former rival colleagues Admiral Tom Iceman Kansas, played by Val Kilmer. Maverick heads to the base to be Vice Admiral Bo Salcon Simpson, played by John Hamm, and Rear Admiral Solomon Warlock Bates, played by Charles Parnell. Kilon makes it clear that he doesn't see in Maverick whatever Ice sees in him, but he informs Maverick of the task at hand. A rough nation is Operation Uranium Facility, and Maverick must teach a new group of recruits to find a way to make it to the base and bomb it. Maverick goes to a bar where he reunites with Penny Benjamin, played by Jennifer Connelly, an ex-girlfriend that he left a while ago. Which pissed off her admiral father, she bears no ill will toward Maverick, but she ends up making him pay a round for everyone at the bar. At the same bar, the new class of pilots are there to drink. Among them is Hotshot Jake Hangman Hersey, played by Glen Powell, who sees himself as the most likely to lead the new class. There is also Natasha Phoenix Drake, played by Monica Barbaro, Robert Bob Floyd, played by Levish Pullman, Robert Payback Fitch, played by Jay Elish, and Mickey Fanboy Garcia, played by Danny Ramirez. Hinting moments later is Bradley Rooster Bradshaw, played by Miles Taylor, son of Maverick's late best friend Goose. After Maverick's car declines, Penny has Hangman and Payback fully through Maverick outside. Maverick watches Rooster playing the piano and is reminded of Goose, but Maverick still feels guilt over Goose's death. Maverick later meets with the palace to introduce himself and go over the mission. Since the facility is located deep at the bottom of a canyon, Maverick planned to take it out involved having to just destroy the entrance to the facility before hitting the base itself. Some of the pilots are not on board, like Hangman. Rooster resents Maverick because he pulled Rooster's application and set his career back by 4 years. Maverick then goes on with the dogfights exercise with the pilots, showing off his skills to mess with the younger crew. The pilots then fail their exercises or are forced to do push-ups. Later on, Hangman discovers Rooster's connection to Maverick. Maverick goes back to the bar to pay Penny back what he owes her. He then spends the afternoon on her boat with her, and there is clearly still a spark between them. In the next round of exercises, Maverick plans to the pilots about how they may lose oxygen and consciousness if they fly to the high. He reminded them of how high and low they will need to go when they carry out their mission. During the exercise, Rooster is shown to utilize a more cautious approach in his flying. Hangman brings up Maverick's friendship with Goose, which proves Rooster into nearly attacking Hangman, but the other pilots split them up. Ice requests Maverick go visit him. He is suffering from throat cancer and can mainly communicate through a computer. Maverick expresses his concern over working with Rooster, fearing that something will happen to him like the Goose. Ice tells him he must work closely with Rooster, and he manages to speak to Maverick and tell him that the young pilots need him more than he realizes. Ceylon steps out into the runway to find that nobody is there. He finds that Maverick brought the pilots over to beach to play football as a bonding exercise, which appears to work since they all are having fun. Maverick later goes out with Penny and tells her that he pulled Rooster's application because his mother asked Maverick to look after him before she passed away. The pilots then undergo a training exercise to strike the target at a certain altitude and in a certain amount of time. Everyone fails to complete the task as needed, with Phoenix needed to eject before her jet crashes. Maverick chastises Rooster for how he handles his exercise, leading to them arguing over Maverick hindering Rooster's flying carrier. They are interrupted when Warlock comes in to inform them that Ice has died. A funeral is held for him days later, with Maverick, Penny, and the other pilots in attendance. Ceylon decides to take over instructional duties from Maverick. When he proposes an alternative plan, the other pilot seems to question him. Outside, the radars detect Maverick flying his jet to complete the exercise, where he is able to fire at the target on the ground with seconds to spare, impressing all the pilots including Hangman. The mission is carried out, with Maverick picking Rooster as his Hangman and being joined by Hangman, Phoenix, Fanboy, Payback, and Bob, then flying toward the facility with their nearby aircraft carrier firing 12 miles at the base to destroy the runway, causing enemy jets to scramble back toward the target. They manage to launch a missile and destroy the facility, but the enemy sends more pilots after them. The pilots start to fly back, but Maverick's jet is shot at, causing him to crash. Rooster turns around and goes to save Maverick. A chopper begins firing at Maverick while he is on foot, but Rooster shoots it down just before his own jet is shot down, but he managed to eject himself in time. Maverick and Rooster reunite and devise a plan to get out of there. They spot an F-14 Tomcat and take control of it. They start to fly away and are pursued by enemy jets, leading to a dogfight. Although Maverick managed to take two of them out with bullets and flares, they run out of weaponry just as a third jet comes their way. Rooster is also unable to eject himself, so the two accept that they are about to die until Hangman comes through and destroys the last jet. Maverick and Rooster make it way to the carrier where their crew regulates them. Rooster and Hangman have a newfound respect of one another, while Rooster looks at Maverick the same way his father looked at him. Rooster helps Maverick work on a P-51 Mustang in Maverick's hangar. Penny shows up and Maverick takes her for a flight in his plan. Rooster sets on a photo of himself and Maverick right next to an older photo of Maverick and Goose. Now let's talk about the biography of the main cast shortly. Tom Cruise. Born July 3, 1962, New York, US, is an American actor who emerged in the 1980s as one of Hollywood's most popular leading men, known for his clean-cut good looks and versatility. Cruise, who took up acting in high school, made his film debut in Endless Love 1981. He had supporting roles in such movies as Stabs 1981 and The Outsiders 1983, before starring as a high school senior who turns his parents' home into a brothel in Risky Business 1983. The movie was a major success, earning Cruise widespread recognition. His star status was cemented with Top Gun 1986, the highest grossing film of the year, in which he played a Navy jet pilot. In 1986, Cruise appeared opposite Paul Newman in The Color of Money, which was directed by Martin Scorsese, and 2 years later started as the a stink man's selfish brother in Rain Man. For his portrayal of a Vietnam War veteran turned active in Born on the 4th of July 1989, Cruise receives his first Academy Award nomination. Cruise went on to exhibit a broad depth and range of characters in his film during the 1990s, playing such diverse roles as a Navy lawyer in A Few Good Men 1992, a vampire in Interview with the Vampire 1994, and a secret agent in Mission Impossible 1996. The immense popularity of the latter film led to sequels in 2000, 2006, 2011, 2015, 18, and 2023. His performance as a sports agent in Jerry Maguire 1996 earned Cruise a second Oscar nomination. In 1999, he started with his then-wife Nicole Kidman in the highly anticipated final film of director Stanley Kubrick, Eyes Wide Shut 1999, an examination of martial fidelity that drew mixed reviews. That year, Cruise also earned acclaim as a misogynistic self-help guru of Mongolia, for which he received an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Cruise started in a number of action films in the 2000s, including the science fiction thrill Minority Report 2002, directed by Steven Spielberg, The Last Samurai 2003, in which he played a defective Jewish soldier who aligned himself with the samurai community, and a gritty Los Angeles set Collateral 2004, in which he took on the role of a advocate contract killer. He re-teamed with Spielberg on War of the Worlds 2005, a visually impressive adaptation of the H.G. Wells novel of the same name. In 2008, Cruise earned loves as an abrasive movie executive in the comedy Tropic Thunder, and he portrayed the historical figure Colonel Clausen, stopping a German armed officer who organized an attempt to assassinate Adolf Hitler in Valkyrie. Cruise subsequently starred in the action thriller Night and Day 2010 and Jack Reacher 2012. In the latter, he played a former army investigator, a role he reprised in Jack Reacher Never Go Back 2016 after appearing as a 1980s rock idol in the musical Rock of Ages 2012. He was cast as an alcoholic survivor in the sci-fi adventure Oblivion 2013. He then portrayed a glib military public relations officer who is repeatedly killed and restricted in the comic alien invasion romp Age of Tomorrow 2014. In 2017, Cruise started in the action horror film The Mummy and the antique drama American Made for Top Gun Maverick 2022. He reprised his role from the 1986 blockbuster. Cruise's personal life often attached as much attention as his acting. His marriage to Kidman was followed closely by the Hollywood media, as was their divorce in 2001. Over the next few years, his outspoken support of science technology proved controversial, especially his 2005 public documents of psychiatry as a illegitimate science, a view held by scientists. Cruise continued to find attention in tabloid and entertainment media through his public relationship with actress Katie Holmes, to whom he was married from 2006 to 2012. The next main actor is Miles Taylor. Miles Alexander Taylor, born February 20, 1987, is an American actor. He made his feature film debut with the independent drama Rabbit Hole 2010 and gained wider recognition for his role in the coming-of-age film The Spectacular Now 2013 and the Divergent film trilogy 2014 to 2016. His breakthrough role came in the drama Whiplash 2014, which earned him critical acclaim. Taylor went on to star in the superhero film Fantastic Four 2015 and the biographical War Dogs 2016. He gendered a mainstream reserve for his starring role in the action film Top Gun Maverick 2022. In television, he has started in the Amazon Prime Video crime drama Too Old to Die Young 2019 and the Paramount Plus miniseries The Offer 2022. Taylor was born in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. His mother, Mary, is a real estate agent and his father, Michael, is a nuclear power plant engineer. He was two older sisters, Erin and Dana. His paternal grandfather was of Russian Jewish descent and his ancestry also includes English and Irish forebears. Taylor spent his early years in Pennsylvania and Delaware before his family moved to Citrus Country, Florida at age 12. Growing up, he was involved with acting, was president of his high school's drama club, and played alto saxophone, drums, piano, and guitar. He also played baseball competitively and had dreamed of turning professional. He graduated from Lucan High School in Orlando, Florida. Our next main character is Val Kilmer. Val Edwell Kilmer was born on December 31, 1959, is an American actor, originally a stage actor. He found fame after appearances in comedy films starting with Top Secret 1984 and Real Genuine 1985, as well as the military action film Top Gun 1986 and the fantasy film Velo 1988. Kilmer gained acclaim for his portrayal of Jim Morrison in Oliver Stone The Doors 1999. He was cast as a main character in films such as the Western Tombstone and the crime dramas True Romance 1993 and Heat 1995. He portrayed Batman in Jules Campbell's Batman Forever 1995 and continued to star in films such as The Goose and the Darkness, The Saint, The Prince of Egypt, Alexander, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and Snowman. In 2022, Kilmer reprised his role as Iceman in Top Gun Maverick 2022. In 2015, Kilmer was diagnosed with throat cancer. He had a procedure on his trachea that damaged his vocal cords to the point where he had extreme difficulty speaking. He also underwent chemotherapy and two TECMO in 2022. He published his memoir titled I Am Your Hellberry, a memoir. The 2021 documentary film Val documents his health issue and cancer. It premiered at the Cannes Film Festival to critical acclaim. He was one of the best paid actors of the 1990s. Films featuring him have grossed over $3.5 billion at the box office. In 1992, critic Roger Ebert wrote, "If there is an award for the most unsung leading man of this generation, Kilmer should get it." The next main character is Glen Powell. Glen Powell, born 21/1988, Austin, Texas, US, is an American actor who has proved that he is more than his easy smile and classic good looks with roles in such hits as A Top Gun Maverick 2022, Anyone But You 2023, and Twisters 2024. Before finding widespread success, Powell was recognized for his versatility in portraying supporting characters across a wide variety of gender. Early life and his first acting roles. Powell is the only son of Glen Powell, Sr. and Kenny Powell, and he has an elder sister, Laureen Powell, and a younger sister, Leslie Powell. He traces his interest in the movies to the age of 5 when he went to see Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park with his father in 1993. He watched the movie repeatedly and began making his own science fiction film with a home video camera and friends at his cost. In 1999, Powell's president enrolled him in the Austin musical theater program where he could explore acting. In subsequent years, he was cast in production of The Musical Man, Oliver O. Henry, and The Sound of Music. Early on-screen career. In 2003, at the age of 14, Paul landed his first film role in Spy Kids 3 Game Over as the oddly specific long-fingered boy. He continued acting in minor roles as he attended Westwood High School in Austin, where he was an all-state lacrosse player, a football player, and a member of the business club. Films from the period include The Wendell Baker Story 2005 and Jumping Off Bridge and Fast Food Nation Bar 2006. As a senior in high school, Paul appeared in the biographical drama The Great Debater 2007 starring Denzel Washington, who was also the film's director. Impressed by Paul's acting skill, Washington introduced the young actor in his agent E.D. Limato. Paul followed Limato's suggestion and moved to Los Angeles in 2008. While working as a script reader from film producer Landa Obist, Paul gendered guest spot on such television series as Without a Trace 2008, CSI Miami 2009, and Bizzoli and Isle 2011. He also had small roles in the science fiction drama film Pig 2011 and the horror film Brew Tales 2012. Paul's minor characters from Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises and from Stuck in Love Part 2012 were named and good-looking Fat Grey, gaining attention in supporting roles. By the mid-2000s, Paul had finally begun to land larger roles. He showed his comedic skills by playing Chad Rowell on creator Ryan Murphy's horror-star series Scream Queens 2015 to screen. Collider in 2014 lauded his portrayal of the character as a self-aware, timely performance that in the personification of white male privilege. In 2016, Paul had small but net-worthy roles in the Academy Award-nominated biographical drama Hidden Figures as astronaut John Glen and in Richard Linklater's coming-of-age comedy Everyone Wants Some as a college baseball player. Roles in 2015 include a searching alongside Nicholas Holt's private Matt Ocker, who doubted his role in the 2003 invasion of Iraq in Sandcastle, and in 2018 he played a wealthy American suitor of Lily James, English author in the Journey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. Also in 2018, Paul started with Zoe Dutch in Netflix hit Room on Set It Up. They played overworked executive assistants who tried to make their workaholic boss, played by Lucy Liu and Ty Diggs, fall in love in order to make the assistants' life easier. Paul and Dooch, who had previously worked together in Everybody Wants Some, received rave reviews for their on-screen chemistry, and many critics declared that the movie revived the statement gender. Powell's star status exploded in 2022 with his role in Top Gun Maverick, the sequel to the 1986 hit Top Gun starring Tom Cruise. Although Powell auditioned for the part of Bradley Rooster Bradshaw, the son of Anthony Edwards Nick Bradshaw from the original, he lost out on the part to Miles Taylor. Cruise, producer Jerry Bruckheimer, director Joseph Kosinski, and screenwriter Christopher McQuarri, however, were so impressed with Powell's audition that offered him the role of Jack Saracen. The antagonist, Top Gun Maverick, becomes the biggest box office hit of the year, grossing some $1.5 billion worldwide. After the success of Top Gun Maverick, Powell assumed the leading man role opposite Sydney Sweeney in the Rom-com Anyone But You 2023. Inspired by William Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing, the movie follows Bee and Ben, who are unexpectedly reunite at a destination wedding months after their brief but magical encounter turned icy. The movie received mixed reviews and hardly made a dent at the box office when it premiered in the United States in December. Its production company, however, continued to expand the movie's release across the country and globally. More success and word-of-mouth brought audience to theaters, and soon Anyone But You had made more than $200 million, the highest gross for an R-rated comedy in nearly a decade. That year, Powell re-teamed with Linklater on the comedy Hitman. Powell started as a processor with a second job pretending to be an assassin for a police department. He wrote the script, which was based on real event, with Linklater and co-producer the film. Netflix purchased the streaming right and the movie debuted in 2024 to rave reviews. Powell followed up with the 2024 action-adventure Twisters, the standalone sequel to 1996 Twister, playing a tornado chaser to Daisy Edgar Jones' meteorologist. The film became a summer blockbuster, earning more than $300 million globally and becoming one of the top grossing films of 2024. Our next main character is Jennifer Connelly. Jennifer Connelly, born December 12, 1970, Catskill Mountain, New York, is an American actress who won an Academy Award for her moving and complex portrayal of Alicia Nash, the wife of John Nash, a brilliant mathematician who won the 1994 Nobel Prize of Economics in A Beautiful Mind 2001, a film that depicted Nash's battle with paranoid schizophrenia. Cheney spent most of her children in the Brooklyn Heights neighborhood of New York City, and she began modeling at age 10, appearing in print advertisement and television commercial. Her first film appearance was in a small part in Sergio Leone's gangsters epic Once Upon a Time in America 1984. As a teen, Connelly had leading role in the several minor films including Jim Heston's children's film Labyrinth 1986. After studying English at Yale University and drama at Stanford University, Connelly attracted notice with her performance in the Disney adventure film The Rocketeer 1991. Connelly affected for several years in music videos and other minor films, the most notable of which was the noir crime drama Mulholland Falls 1996, before she garnered rave reviews for her evocation of drug addiction and reincarnation in Darren Aronofsky's Request for a Dream 2000. She then appeared in the Jack Palance biopic Block 2000. Connelly earned a BAFTA Award and a Golden Globe Award as well as Oscar for A Beautiful Mind. She went on to star with Ben Kingsley in House of Sand and Fog 2003 and with Leonardo DiCaprio in Blood Diamond 2006. Her other films included Reservation Road 2007 and The Day the Earth Stood Still 2008. Connelly portrayed the wife of Charles Darwin, played by her real-life husband Paul Bettany in Creation 2009, and the wife of the biblical figure Noah in Aronofsky epic Noah 2014. In 2016, Connelly started with Ewan McGregor in American Pastoral, an adaptation of the novel by Philip Roth. She then played the wife of a firefighter in Only the Brave 2017, which was inspired by the true events of the Granite Mountain Hotshot's efforts to contain the Arizona wildfires during the summer of 2013. Her next film was the science fiction thrill Alita Battle Angel 2019, based on a manga novel. Connelly then started in The Snowpiercer 2020 to present, which was her first TV series since The Street 2002-2001. She returned to the big screen in 2022, starting with Tom Cruise in Top Gun Maverick 2022, a sequel to the 1986 blockbuster. The next main character is Monica Barbaro. Monica Barbaro, born June 17, 1990, is an American actress. She is known for her roles in The Cathedral 2021, Top Gun Maverick 2022, and At Midnight 2023. She has also had a recurring role in the sitcom Splitting Up Together 2018-19, as well as reading role in the television series Unreal 2016, Chicago Justice 2017, The Good Cop 2018, and Fuber 2023. Early life. Barbaro was born on June 17, 1990 in San Francisco. She grew up in Main Valley, California, where she graduated from Tamalpais High School in 2007. Her parents divorced when she was a child. Barbaro started dancing at an early age and went on to study ballet. While taking electives in acting, she completed a degree in dance at New York University School of the Arts in New York City. After graduating in 2010, she decided to pursue acting and returned to San Francisco. There, she decided to pursue acting and returned to San Francisco, where she booked a short film, connected with an agent, and attended the Beverly Hills Playhouse Acting School. Now let's talk about the box office performance of the movie Top Gun Maverick 2022. The most valuable blockbuster tournament took a hiatus during the pandemic as movie theater closed for the majority of 2020 to 2021, and theoretical day and date titles on the both the big screen and studios respective streaming platform became more prevalent. Coming back from the print, the studio have largely returned to their theatrical release models and the downstream manage that can bring. Not to mention their power in the launching IPs around the world with big global marketing campaigns when it comes to evaluating the financial performance of top movies. It is not about what a film crosses at the box office. The true tale is told when production budget, P&A, talent participations, and other costs collide with box office grosses and ultimately revenue from VOD to DVD and TV. To get close to that mysterious end of the equation, Deadline is repeating our most valuable blockbuster tournament of 2020 using data gathered by season and trusted sources. Paramount wanted to make a sequel to the 1986 Tom Cruise classic for more than 30 years, and it was former Paramount Picture Josh Jim Ginopoulos who nailed the deal. The actor's most lucrative of his career, with better teams than any Mission Impossible movie, Tom Cruise chose to Joseph Kosinski's pitch to direct the film using a real actors in the fighter jets, with two having already worked together in the sci-fi film Oblivion, a mini flight school for the film's thespians who put into place with those actors playing pilots flying F-18s with actual pilots, a process that didn't occur on the first movie. David Ellison was a long-time fan of Top Gun and co-financed the production of 25%. China Tansys was also expected to co-finance but dropped out, with a New Republic taking over another 25% on the PIC's $177 million net production costs, which included reshoots. Paramount covered the remaining 50% during a time when cinemas were closed. Cruise wanted to make sure the movies were perfect, with reshoots occurring during the COVID umbrella. Originally, the PIC's post-production was on a course to meet its original June 2020 theatrical release. Among the improvements were the aviation sequence and the storyline surrounding Jennifer Connelly's character was smoothed out. Cruise Mission Impossible sequel and Jack Reacher filmmaker Christopher McQuarri boarded the production as a screenwriter a few weeks before shooting in summer 2018 and was key throughout production into editing. While some major studios sacrificed big tentpoles to streaming during cinema's closure, Top Gun Maverick was also destined for the big screen, as exclaimed by producer Jerry Bruckheimer at Cinema Kane last year. The film finally landing a memorable day launch, Paramount created global momentum, encouraging the media and exhibition at a CinemaCon screening where the PIC's Oscar buzz promptly began, culminating in 6 noms including Best Picture and a win for Best Sound, followed by a premiere in the PIC's shooting location of San Diego. In addition to a Cannes Film Festival launch where Cruise received a Henry Palmer d'Or, while Sony Marvel Studios Spider-Man No Way Home $1,814.1 million to $1.92 billion worldwide gets credit for bringing people back to the cinema after COVID. Top Gun Maverick is single-handedly responsible for welcoming older, non-critical adult moviegoers back and making them feel more comfortable in theaters, playing strong coast to coast. The movie broke a slew of records including Cruise's best opening ever at the box office, $126.7 million over 3 days, $248 million worldwide, and his highest grossing movie ever, $718.7 million, $1.49 billion global. Top Gun Maverick also notched the same BO records for Bruckheimer and Kosinski for the longest time during 2022 on a global basis. Top Gun Maverick was the year's highest grossing movie until the Avatar The Way of Water came along last December and unseated it. Still, Maverick remains the highest grossing title last year, stateside at 718.7 million. The pick also scored the best domestic Memorial Day weekend opening over 160.5 million over 4 days for both the holiday and Brookhamer. The box office of the movie Top Gun Maverick. The movie had a massive 210-day theatrical window before arriving on Paramount Plus and peaks on December 20, with global revenue here worth 170 million, home entertaining at 250 million in rich, given that the movie held high digital price rates between $20 to $25 for a lengthy period, having landed on platform on August 23. The pick in its first week became one of the top 20 best-selling digital releases in history after being available for only 1 week. The 280 million in participation, including for Kosinski, McQuarri, Brookhamer, and certainly Cruise. Cruise landed what sources call an old-fashioned movie star deal, one of the best in history, while some tell us it's well north of 100 million. Other tell us it's double that of his best payday of Mission Impossible, which would get him to 200 million. Essentially 12.5 million against 10% of first dollar gross, with escalator that trigger when the movie hits certain box office benchmark. The net profit of 391.1 million is shared among Paramount, Skydance, and New Republic. Top Gun Maverick has crossed $700 million in North America, becoming one of 6 movies to ever surpass that milestone at the domestic box office. The film returned to the top of box office charts ever Labor Day weekend, adding $7.9 million between Friday and Monday and bringing ticket sales to $701 million according to Paramount. Maverick is the only film to ever be number 1 at the domestic box office for both Memorial Day and Labor Day holidays. After 15 weeks of release, the sequel to Tom Cruise's 1986 blockbuster has overtaken Marvel's behemoth Black Panther, 700.4 million, as the 5th highest grossing movie in domestic box office history. Impressively, the Top Gun follows up has long fought past Black Panther internationally and globally, beat Maverick Mitchell's latest mission has rocked up $740 million overseas and $1.44 billion worldwide, while T'Challa's superheroic adventure tapped out with $674 million overseas and $1.347 billion worldwide. It's without a doubt that Top Gun Maverick is a true cultural touchstone embodying the power of the cinematic experience, said Brian Roberts, president and CEO of Paramount Pictures. As we celebrate this immersive achievement and the film's massive impact, we want to extend our gratitude to Tom Cruise, our filmmakers and cast, Paramount's marketing and distribution teams, and the legions of both new and long-time Top Gun fans who keep turning out to enjoy this remarkable movie. In North America, the next highest grossing movie is Avatar with $760 million, and its planned re-release in September will push those grosses ever higher. So Top Gun Maverick's rapid absence on box office charts looks to stop at number 5, at least for now. Globally, Top Gun Maverick stands as the 12th biggest movie, but it's fast approaching 11th place, which currently belongs to Disney Frozen 2 with $1.450 billion. For the nation's beloved theater owners, Top Gun Maverick has been the gift that keeps on giving. Unlike most of today's blockbusters, which earn the bulk of their revenue during opening weekend, the follow-up to Top Gun has remained a powerful box office draw throughout the entire summer. It has been in the top 5 on domestic box office charts for 14 of its 15 weeks of release, a fact that underscored the film's adherence as other tentpoles like Jurassic World Dominance and Thor Love and Thunders came and went in theaters. Plus, it's still making money in theaters even though the film landed on home entertaining in late August. To Hollywood executive, the unexpected success of Paramount and Skydance action-packed sequel signaled that audience young and old will venture to cinema for a movie that doesn't involve superheroes so long as there's a compelling story to be told. Of course, thrilling aerial sequence performed by the entertainment industry's resident daredevil doesn't hurt. Given the 36 years that separated the original from Cruise return to the cockpit, the dream of Maverick was far from a foregone conclusion. Top Gun Maverick has committed plenty of box office records since Memorial Day weekend when the film set a Hollywood record with its $160.5 million debut. It also became Cruise's first movie to surpass $100 million in a single weekend, as well as his first to gross $1 billion in worldwide ticket sales. Cruise is getting well compensated for reviving the movie theater industry by the time Maverick leaves theater and ends up on Paramount Plus. The stunts extraordinaire is expected to pocket at least $100 million from ticket sales, his salary, home entertainment rentals, and streaming revenue. Joseph Kosinski directed Tom Gun Maverick, which centered on the exploits of Cruise beat Maverick Mitchell as prepares a new group of aviators for a crucial strike mission and in the process feels the need for speed. He is joined on screen by Miles Taylor, Glen Powell, John Hamm, Jennifer, and Val Kilmer. Paramount has announced that Skydance Top Gun Maverick will debut on PVOD and EST, priced to buy on August 23, a week from release. That gives it the standard 90-day theatrical window, although the film's DVD, Blu-ray and 4K HD release are not until November 1. That's 22 weeks after its May 27 opening day. That's on par with Batman back in 1989, which opened theatrically on June 23 and arrived on priced to buy VHS on November 18. That were considered early as well. Alice in Wonderland dropping on DVD after 88 days in 2010. The massive gap between the POD date and the DVD date offers lesson learning concerning theatrical windows. Moreover, Tom Cruise blockbuster made the difference between a decent summer and a movie-starved box office disaster. First, if Paramount thought the PVOD window would cannibalize the film, still strong $7 million in its 11th Friday-Sunday film with a halfway decent shot at topping the box office this weekend or next. Theatrical box office take, they would not be dropping it on digital next week. As we have seen at late since A Quiet Place Part 2 in the summer of 2021, a hit theatrical movie doesn't automatically drop dead when it arrived on PVOD after 45 days. Let alone 90 days, the streaming debut in a different story, especially if more services, not just Netflix and the brand-specific Disney Plus, become more commonly used by general audience, which is why Elvis debuted last week on PVOD but not yet on HBO Max. Tom Cruise famously wanted a 120 days theatrical window for the long-delayed Legacy sequel. It's jaw-dropping domestic. It will pass Avenger Infinity War $679 million in a matter of days, and global it should be just over $1.38 million worldwide. Box office mean to had a bargaining chip even after opening weekend. I argue just offhand that Cruise might be inclined to agree to a mere 90-day with the caveat that the last two Mission Impossible movies also get 90 days windows. Regardless, the film arriving on PVOD and EST after 90 days but on physical media and streaming after 5.5 months in a sign that Cruise presumably saw the numbers, arguing the PVOD is a current revenue stream that doesn't lead for theatrical potential. Spider-Man No Way Home earned $804 million domestic and $1.91 billion worldwide and still shattered EST electronic sale through records following an 88-day window. The Batman pulled such strong HBO Max viewership despite or because of its $370 million domestic grosses that Discovery David Zaslav proclaimed that Warner Bros. Would gain emphasized theatrical revenue over streaming gains. With Sony's normal size windows and fast window TV day deal with Netflix, Universal Cop and theatrical release, and concurrent PVOD revenue with Paramount's apparent Maverick profits, Disney is the only major studio still arguably prioritizing streaming, although 38 days since opening. We have yet to hear a word about a Disney Plus premiere date of Thor Love and Thunder. Maybe they are giving Marvel and Blockbuster film releases some breathing room. Tom Cruise Top Gun Maverick. 2 years after Top Gun Maverick incredible box office success, it looks less and less likely that Tom Cruise will ever star in a bigger movie than the hit sequel. Viewers waited a long time for Top Gun Maverick. 34 years after the original movie hit cinemas, viewers were prepared to finally see its sequel on the big screen in 2020. Then the COVID-19 pandemic hit and another 2 years were added to the multi-decade wait between franchise installments. The pressure on the sequel was immense and it was reasonable to assume no movie could live up to its pre-release hype. However, by the time Top Gun Maverick's ending rolled around, it was clear that Tom Cruise's vehicle had done the impossible. Top Gun Maverick was better than Top Gun with more emotional depth, sharper action sequence, and a more streamlined story than its producers. It is hard to see how Top Gun 3's story could hope to top the conflict between Goose and Maverick on that was strengthened by the sheer length of time between franchise outings. Cruise Maverick aged visibly between outings and has made Top Gun Maverick a more poignant viewing experience than anticipated. Top Gun Maverick is likely to remain Tom Cruise's biggest movie ever. Top Gun Maverick critical success was reflected in its box office performance, with the movie becoming the biggest hit of Tom Cruise's career. Top Gun Maverick made a historical huge $1.4 billion at the box office, becoming the biggest hit of 2020 thanks to Avatar: The Way of Water's December release date. While Top Gun Maverick made Top Gun's ending worse with its revelation about the franchise's unstable protagonist, the sequel managed to outdo all of Cruise's early success at the box office in the process. Even the Mission Impossible series, another historical success franchise, could not compete with it. Top Gun's Maverick success could be attributed to several factors ranging from its early summer arrival to a lack of robust competition at the box office, to a growing desire among cinema goers to return to theaters. The immersive intense action benefited from big screen viewing, but Cruise starts us as one of daunting number of true A-list hitmakers also helped the sequel. However, the performance of his movies both before and after Top Gun Maverick makes it clear that the sequel will not be outdone anytime soon and he may never be able to replicate his massive franchise success. Top Gun Maverick masterfully outperformed 1986 original Top Gun. Before the sequel released, it seems impossible that Top Gun Maverick could hope to out-earn Top Gun. Top Gun made $357 million in 1986, which although it may sound like a petty sum, was a staggering amount of money at the time. Adjusted for inflation, this would have amounted to $924.4 million in 2022. Since Cruise's biggest movie before Top Gun Maverick, Mission Impossible Fallout, earned only $791 million, this feat seems almost impossible until Top Gun Maverick arrived. Top Gun Maverick not only outdid this number but ended up becoming one of the 12 highest grossing movies of all time. Regardless of Top Gun 3's plot, it is hard to see how the sequel could not only repeat but outdo this historic success. Top Gun 3 would now need to earn over $1.4 billion to become Cruise's biggest movie ever, meaning it would be among the 10 most successful movies in box office history, not adjusted for inflation. Until recently, it seems as if Cruise's other lucrative franchise, the Mission Impossible movies, could have produced a sequel that would outdo Top Gun's follow-up. However, 2023's box office proved this is not necessarily true thanks to an unexpected underperformed. Tom Cruise's 2023 sequel proves his box office dominance is not infallible. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 made only $567 million at the box office 14 months after the release of Top Gun Maverick, proving that Q Star's powerful is not unslayable. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1's box office performance would be immersive for most stars, but the movie's massive budget and the franchise history complicated this. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 was one of the most expensive movies ever made and was expected to outperform its predecessors. 2018 Mission Impossible Fallout made $791 million and its predecessors Mission Impossible Rough Nation made $688 million, so an upward trend apparently lies. Cruise's biggest hit was simply too successful. The success of Cruise's Top Gun and Mission Impossible franchises seemed like a sure thing after Top Gun Maverick's incredible impact, so Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1's overwhelming box office came as a surprise to many. This was made partly for Top Gun 3, but even it doesn't, it remains unlikely that the sequel could ever match Top Gun Maverick's success. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 would have been considered an undeniable success if it made $800 million, which is still $600 million less than Top Gun Maverick. Cruise's biggest hit was simply too successful. Cruise's few projects make another huge hit less likely. The fact that Cruise makes so few movies is the main reason Top Gun Maverick's success is unlikely to be replicated, as the actor is simply less likely to enjoy another huge hit when he can rarely be seen in the multiplex. This ensures every Tom Cruise movie is a cultural event, but it comes at a cost. Cruise made only 7 movies at the 9 years between 2015 and 14, and one was the regrettable 2014 flop The Mummy. Unlike busier actor, his refusal to prioritize quantity over quality makes his starring in a bigger hit than Top Gun Maverick less likely. Top Gun 3 is unlikely to outdo Top Gun Maverick's box office impact. Top Gun 3 almost certainly will not out-earn Top Gun Maverick for numerous reasons. For one thing, there will not be a 36 years wait between movies to build time. For another, Top Gun 3 will have a hard time expanding on Top Gun Maverick's self-contained story, and the sequel may struggle without Iceman to ground Cruise's cocky anti-hero. However, here is some hope left for the star's attempt to outdo his own records. After all, until the release of Top Gun Maverick, it seems like Tom Cruise would never be able to match, let alone outdo, the success of the 1986 original. With 2022 officially over, Top Gun Maverick has ended the year as the #1 movie at the worldwide box office. The sequel to the original Top Gun Maverick sees Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell, played by Tom Cruise, returning to naval fighter jet as he sets off on a secret mission to take out an unsanctioned uranium plant. Since its release in May, the film has been a smashing success, earning glowing reviews and leading an impressive box office run. According to Box Office Mojo, Top Gun Maverick ended the year with a worldwide box office total of $1.48 billion, narrowly beating out Avatar: The Way of Water's $1.39 billion take and Jurassic World Dominion. which dominated the box office after bad reviews and earned just over $1 billion. Filling out the other two slots in the top 5 are Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and Minions The Rise of Gru. Both films earned massive hauls during the years but fell short of the $1 billion mark. What will Avatar's final box office total looks like? Avatar The Way of Water suffered from a late 2022 release on December 16 that left little room for it to claim the top spot by the end that year. It should be noted that Avatar The Way of Water never stalled its growth and even beat a Top Gun Maverick milestone by becoming the highest grossing 2022 film in the international box office by earning $956 million as opposed to Top Gun Maverick's $770 million total. Considering the Avatar The Way of Water domestic sales are hampered by a several winter storm, its $440 million US take is only expected to grow after the holiday weekend. Within its 3-week run, it is already more than halfway to $2 billion worldwide. It should be able to clear the mark with ease and compete with Avenger Endgame's $279 million worldwide total. What movie might claim the top of the box office in 2023? Looking ahead, there are several upcoming blockbuster superhero movies on the way with Marvel Studios, Sony, and the DC Universe competing for the 2023 crown. The Marvel releases in 2023 include Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Marvels, and the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Since Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania will be introducing Kong and Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be the final outing of the original team, either could break box office records. Meanwhile, Sony is preparing to release Kraven the Hunter and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. While the former is not likely to break records after the failure of Morbius, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse may be able to. DC, meanwhile, is releasing Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Blue Beetle, The Flash, and the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Of course, the Aquaman sequel might stand the best chance at reaching -1 due to the first movie's incredible performance. Competing non-superhero projects including Cruise's next movie Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Transformers Rise of the Beast, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Disney, Fast X, and Dune Part 2. If Top Gun Maverick's success is any indication, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning could take the top spot at the 2023 box office thanks to Cruise star's power. It would be an understatement to say that Top Gun Maverick was one of the biggest films of the last year. Beyond its breathtaking aerial stunts and heart-pounding action, there are several other factors that lead to the legacy sequel becoming one of the most accelerating box office surprises of 2022. While the exact budget figures remain a well-guarded secret, it's clear that no expenses were spared in creating this visually stunning cinematic adventure. From scoring success to real fighter aircraft to launching an epic marketing campaign featuring top-notch calibration, Top-Notch Maverick showcased a Maverick spirit that paid off big time at the box office. Buckle up as we take a fulfilled journey into the fascinating world of Top Gun Maverick's budget, uncovering the high-flying investment and the groundbreaking box office record the film shattered that made this blockbuster soar. The original overall budget for Top Gun Maverick reportedly amounted to $170 million, with a breakdown of some of the expenses as follows. Tom Cruise has solidified his position as the highest paid Hollywood actor of 2022, and reports indicate that he pocketed a stretching $100 million for his role in the Top Gun Maverick. This jaw-dropping salary serves as a reminder of just how far Tom Cruise has since the original Top Gun film directed by Tony Scott in 1986, which had a budget of $15 million. To put Cruise's extraordinary paycheck into perspective, the next highest paid actor of 2022 was Will Smith, who is reported to have entered $35 billion for emancipation. Following closely behind are Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio, both earning $30 million from their respective projects. DiCaprio is slated to receive $30 million for his role in Martin Scorsese's Killer for the Flower Moon, while Pitt will be compensated the same amount of his upcoming Formula One movie. The US Navy played a pivotal role by providing access to their powerful F-A-18 Super Hornets for the movie. However, scoring such cutting-edge military equipment came at a significant cost, which was a crucial aspect of the film's production. To facilitate this collaboration, the movie's producer joined forces with the Department of Defense, seeking their expertise and support. While the exact financial details regarding Paramount Pictures' expenses of this calibration have not been disclosed in full, reports from Bloomberg revealed some interesting data. The production reportedly paid an outstanding $11,374 per hour to fly the F-A-18 Super Hornets, highlighting the significant investment made to capture the movie's authentic aerial sequence. Top Gun Maverick left no stone unturned when it came to marketing the movie. Although specific details of the overall promotion budget were not disclosed, the marketing campaign included various strategic partnerships and product release. In February 2020, Matchbox, a toy manufacturer under Mattel, unveiled a collection of Top Gun die-cast models and products, featuring iconic aircraft like the F-14 Tomcat Super Hornet and the P-51 Mustang, along with role-play items. Despite the delayed theatrical release, these toys were set for public availability on June 1, 2020. Following suit, in June 2020, plastic model manufacturer Ravel introduced a range of 148 scale Top Gun plastic models, including the F-14 Tomcat and F-A-18 Super Hornet, based on the aircraft seen in the movie. Additionally, Hasbro jumped on the bandwagon, announcing a Top Gun themed Transformers toy named Maverick in July 2020, which hit the shelves later that year. Hasbro later re-released the toy as a Walmart exclusive to coincide with the film's final release date. These calibrations are merchandise release calibrated to the extensive marketing efforts to build excitement and anticipation for the movie. How much did Top Gun Maverick need to make at the box office to break even? Generally speaking, for a film to break even, it typically needs to gross twice its production budget. Applying this formula to Top Gun Maverick, the movie needed to earn approximately $304 million globally to recoup its cost. However, this financial goal was not a challenge for the sequel, given its remarkable performance at the domestic box office. In an impressive feat, Top Gun Maverick has already achieved around 5 times its initial budget solely for its domestic box office earnings. The thrilling Top Gun Maverick ending sees Pete Maverick Mitchell, Tom Cruise, and his team on a dangerous mission where any member of the Top Gun 2 cast could be killed. Top Gun Maverick sees Maverick returning to his Top Gun school and confronting his lingering guilt over the death of his friend Goose years ago as he trains his son Rooster, played in the Top Gun 2 cast by Miles Taylor. That relationship is put at center stage in Top Gun Maverick's ending with a daring aerial operation in which Maverick and the other pilots battle for their lives. More than 3 decades after the first movie was released, Top Gun Maverick proved the audience interest in this franchise and the big question they had going into the sequel's climax. Given the legacy sequel trend, there was worry about Maverick dying in the mission, exploring whether he and Rooster would reconcile and if there was the possibility of happiness with his new love interest Penny. The Top Gun Maverick ending addresses all these questions and teases the franchise future. What happened in Top Gun Maverick's ending? The Top Gun Maverick ending started with the death of Iceman Admiral Tom Kosinski, after which Maverick lost his protection and was removed as Top Gun instructor by Cyclone. But Maverick had other plans. Maverick stole a plane and perfectly executed the simulation, proving to the trainee that their denting mission could be accomplished because it's not the plane, it's the pilot. Maverick then led the mission himself, which resulted in Rooster's lifelong animosity with his late father's partner finally being resolved. Having Maverick back in the plot seated up the thrilling climax that the movie had been building up to. Maverick's Miracle 1 and 2 mission plan explain. So, Maverick was assigned to lead the mission to destroy the underground uranium facility. He chose Phoenix and Bob to be Dagger 1 with him, while Dagger 2 was Payback and Fanboy, with Rooster as his wingman. Hangman, who was not picked, was dejected and was on standby on the aircraft carrier flight deck. They had 2 minutes and 30 seconds to fly low through the cannons beneath the enemy surface to air missiles and reach the target. Maverick reached a 3-meter target and blasted it on target to create the opening. Dagger 2 picked up and speed and made it to the target in spite of their laser malfunctioning. Rooster side-checked the target and successfully hit it, destroying the underground uranium facility. All of the pilot's training paid off and they achieved the steep 9.5 G climb without colliding with the mountain. Then the dogfight began with the enemy launched SAMS and scrambled 5th generation fighters to intercept Maverick squadron. Every Navy F-18 had flares they used to divert enemy's missile, but Rooster ran out when he was being targeted by an enemy plane. Maverick used his own plane to shield Rooster and was shot down. Phoenix, Bob, and Payback and Fanboy made it back to the aircraft carrier, but Ceylon refused to scramble Hangman to rescue Maverick. He assumed that Maverick died and didn't want to risk more pilots' lives. However, Rooster didn't return home and he instead rescued Maverick from an enemy assault helicopter. Rooster was then shot down, but he also survived, and Maverick reunited with him. The two made their way to the enemy airfield that the Navy's Tomahawk missiles destroyed and found an old surplus F-14 Tomcat similar to what Maverick flew in the original Top Gun. Maverick and Rooster caught the F-14 airborne but were intercepted by 2 5th generation enemy planes. Does Maverick survive and who dies in Top Gun Maverick? Despite difficult mission odds, both Tom Cruise Maverick and Rooster survived Top Gun Maverick's ending. Resigned to fight their way home, Maverick surprised the enemy by swooping behind one of the planes and opening fire, shooting it down. The second enemy gave chase, but Maverick flew very low, knowing that Retain would refuse the enemy's staging computer. Maverick then used his classic Top Gun maneuver to invert his F-14 and shoot down the enemy plane. But the heroes still were not home free. Maverick was out of weapons while a new enemy fighter closed in on them from the front. Firing they would not survive, Maverick urged Goose to eject, but the old plane's canopy would not open. At the last second, the enemy fighter was destroyed by Hangman, who was scrambled to rescue his friend after Goose's respondal signal was detected by the aircraft carrier. Maverick, Goose, and Hangman returned to the aircraft carrier to a hero's welcome, with the Navy using a net to catch Maverick F-14, which lost its front landing gear, but not before Maverick performed his trademark illegal flyby of the flight back to purposely rattle Cyclone. Hangman and Rooster's rivalry ended just as Iceman and Maverick did at the end of the Top Gun, and Maverick and Rooster reconciled at last. Maverick also becomes the first pilot to shoot down 5 enemy planes, continuing the 3 Russian MiG fighter he took out in Top Gun. The only character to die in Top Gun Maverick is Val Kilmer's Iceman, who dies off screen but receives a fitting tribute. How Top Gun Maverick honors Iceman. Top Gun Maverick honoring Iceman and Val Kilmer was one of the best parts of the film. In Top Gun, Tom Iceman won the Top Gun trophy and was first in his class in 1986. Maverick was second. Iceman parlayed that success into a distinguished Navy career where he became a four-star admiral and commander of the United States Pacific Fleet. Yet Admiral Iceman Kosinski never forget how Maverick saved his life at the end of Top Gun, after which Iceman and Maverick remained close friends. Iceman became Maverick's guardian angel who protected Maverick and restored his standing every time to the Navy wanted Captain Mitchell court-martialed or expelled. It was Iceman who had Maverick assigned back to Top Gun as an instructor for the trainee because he has believed since the end of the Top Gun 1986 that the Navy needs Maverick. Tragically, Iceman died of throat cancer in Top Gun Maverick, and the film wove in Val Kilmer's real-life battle with the disease. Although the actor is now cancer-free after a 6-year fight, still cancer ravaged Kilmer's ability to speak, which is why the moment when Iceman decided to talk to Maverick and ask him which of us is the better pilot was so touching. Before Iceman's last line in Top Gun Maverick, he tested which Maverick throughout the movie. But when Iceman died, Maverick lost the protection of his biggest and most powerful advocate. Fittingly, Kilmer is the only major character from Top Gun to return for the sequel, and Top Gun Maverick gave Iceman their due as the most important people who remained in Maverick's life since Top Gun. Maverick proves the Navy still needs him. Mavericks are in Top Gun Maverick who was to show that he still had a place in the Navy, even though Pete himself was not always sure. While his Top Gun peers like Iceman becomes Admiral, Maverick remained a captain and an outlier from the Navy for 35 years. After the end of the Top Gun, Maverick returned to Miramar to become a flight instructor, but he only lasted 2 months. Maverick spent the next 3 decades on Admiral after another, and Captain Pete Mitchell, being a literal Maverick, made it possible for the Navy to promote him in spite of his decorations and achievements. When Top Gun Maverick begins, Maverick is test pilot for the Dark Star program, and he becomes the fattest man alive by proving he can break Mach 10. Maverick achieved a record Mach 10.3 before his plane exploded. Instead of being hailed as a hero, Admiral Kane wanted to throw him out of the Navy. At the start of the Top Gun Maverick, Admiral Kane told Maverick that he plans to eventually replace pilots with drones. While that plan could still come to fruition, Maverick's work with the Top Gun trainee proved the irreplaceable value of pilots who can make decisions on the fly and are guided by instructions. Maverick taught the Top Gun trainee to think outside the box and to push themselves with their hardware beyond their limits. However, Maverick's success in the climatic mission to destroy the uranium facility didn't net him a promotion, which he didn't want anyway. Maverick belongs in a cockpit and is still a brilliant pilot despite being decades older than his trainees and compared to his former peers, who are now all grounded flag officers. Maverick proved he still has something unique to offer the Navy, but the Navy still doubts his value and probably always will despite his achievements. Mavericks and Roosters reconcile. Rooster's animosity with Maverick stems from the fact that his father, Goose, died in 1986 on Maverick's watch, but there was also a second reason. Maverick pulled Rooster's application to the Naval Academy, which cost the younger pilot 4 years of his career. What Rooster didn't know is that Maverick did it because his mother, Carol Bradshaw, who is now dead, didn't want Rooster to become a parent like his dad. Maverick honored Crowell's wishes and took the full blame from Rooster so that he would not also blame his mother. This is something Maverick confessed to Penny but not to Rooster. Of course, the spirit of Goose hangs over Maverick and Rooster in Top Gun Maverick. In moments of uncertainty, they both say, "Talk to me, Goose, Dad," and evoke the dearly departed mistunch palette. Rooster even plays Great Balls of Fire on the piano like his dad did when Rooster was still very young. After Maverick and Rooster survived the ordeal of being shot down and piloted their stolen F-14 back home, Rooster finally saw what his father saw in Maverick and his flying ability. Maverick tried to be a father figure to Rooster when he was growing up, but by the end of Top Gun Maverick, Bradley and Pete are more like peers the way Maverick and Goose were. Rooster even decided to help restore Maverick's vintage P-51 Mustang in his hangar, where he is surrounded by sweet memories of his father. Maverick and Penny get a happy ending. Penny Benjamin is an old film of Maverick who came back into his life when he returned to Top Gun. Penny and Maverick lost touch over the years after he took her on a date aboard a stolen fighter jet and Mitchell was nearly thrown out of the Navy. Penny seems to uniquely understand Maverick and their mutual attraction is palpable. But given Pete's track record of being unreliable, she was not sure if she could commit to him and vice versa. Yet Penny also recognized that Maverick had matured and that he still wanted to give something back to Top Gun because he was far from drawn as fighter pilot. When the tribute Maverick returned to Penny's bar, the hard attack after the movie's climatic mission, Penny was gone because she took her teenage daughter Amelia on vacation. It was not explicitly stated, but Penny likely left because she feared Maverick was not going to come back from the mission, the hard reality of being in a relationship with a dedicated soldier. When word got back to her that Maverick was alive and came home, Penny returned and reunited with him. Maverick only had one peer love interest in Top Gun Charlie, but that was 35 years ago. Maverick and Penny seems more evenly matched and she could finally the one who gets Pete Mitchell to make a long-term commitment. Is Top Gun Maverick the end for Tom Cruise? Even before it was released, there was the question whether Top Gun Maverick would mark the end of Cruise's character. However, Top Gun Maverick leaves the door open for Tom Cruise to return as Pete Maverick Mitchell. The possibility that Maverick would heroically die at the end of Top Gun Maverick exists, although once Iceman died, it became unlikely that both of Top Gun's remaining icons would get killed off in the sequel. Maverick also showed that he is still as skilled and daring in a fight plan's cockpit as ever, and he deservedly win the respect and admiration of his trainee. By no means did Maverick end the Top Gun sequel looking like he was ready for retirement. One of the main reasons why it took 36 years for a Top Gun sequel to be made was that Tom Cruise wanted to wait until the technology was available to execute his vision for breathtaking realistic flying sequence with the actors actually flying fighter planes. Now that the technology exists, it may be wiser to deliver a third Top Gun sooner rather than later. Tom Cruise may appear ageless, but he is nearly 60 and the window for him playing Maverick as Top Gun's lead action hero will eventually lose. Of course, Cruise is still shooting the next stunts-laden Mission Impossible films, so those will have to wrap before the movie star can move on to Top Gun 3. If that's something Tom Cruise even wants to do, with Top Gun Maverick a record-breaking success, now would be time for Tom Cruise to push the throttle and make Top Gun a trilogy. Why the Maverick ending worked so well? The Top Gun Maverick ending was old school, finite, thundering conclusion that gave audience looking for familiarity from the first movie what they wanted, while using the amazing camera setups to create an energized, fresh and well-paced conclusion. Top Gun Maverick ending worked so well because they didn't try to pull last-minute surprise. They set up the stakes, worked towards a mission, and did it. It wraps up the relationship in satisfying ways, honoring Goose and Iceman and giving Maverick a future, but also some well-deserved peace. Indeed, while Top Gun Maverick rides the 80s nostalgia trend that has become all too common in contemporary entertainment, It achieves uniqueness ironically by sticking to a 100% formula based narrative and ending, true to the epic spirit of the era. Top Gun Maverick's record breaking box office success is proof positive that the formula is exactly what today's audience needs. Top Gun Maverick restarted a $1 million movie franchise into a $1 billion phenomenon, and a big part of this was because of how the sequel struck the landing. With the cast including several new faces and Maverick facing new challenges, there's also plenty of room for Top Gun 3 or any other succeeding sequels. That said, it will be a tall order for Top Gun 3 to somehow match the critical and box office success of Top Gun Maverick. How the Top Gun Maverick ending could set up Top Gun 3. The Top Gun Maverick ending is a fitting conclusion to this story, but it also leaves the door open for another sequel. With all the different interesting options for how to continue the story and how directions to take the franchise in, is it likely Top Gun 3 would take as long as its producers to come to fruition? One of the most notable ways a sequel is set up is by focusing on the next generation. Rooster and Hugman made for a great new pair of rivals who could lead a buddy action movie type story for the sequel, while other new Top Gun Maverick characters like Phoenix and Bob could add to the fun symbols. While it seems likely the new generation will be the focus of the Top Gun franchise going forward, that doesn't mean that there cannot be a rule for the Tom Cruise. Much like the Creed franchise, Top Gun can shift to a new protagonist while still honoring the original hero. Maverick could step into the mentor role while also continuing to explore how he was involved now that has more closure over Goose's death. However, if the sequel decided to continue to focus on Maverick, there are still some interesting direction to take the story. Through his last conversation with Iceman, Maverick seems ready to consider finally advancing within the Navy. It could be interesting to see how Maverick deals with being in an authority role after pushing back against the rules for so long. Top Gun 3 could see Maverick struggling with landing in the era of drone warfare, which was only hinted at the Top Gun. Top Gun Maverick sure took its sweet time arriving in theaters, but that 36 years wait was definitely worth it. Who doesn't love to watch impossibly handsome pilots pull off extreme stunts while Kenny Loggins' danger zone blast at full volume? The Top Gun franchise might not be terribly complex in the story department, but the sequel still raises a few interesting questions worth addressing. Let's take a closer look at the ending, explore the mysteries of who exactly Maverick and the gang were dogfighting against, and discuss what a potential Top Gun 3 could be about. Top Gun 3. Does Top Gun Maverick have a post-credit scene? First things first, no. Top Gun Maverick doesn't have a post-credit scene. The movie leaves certain doors open for a possible sequel, and we will cover that later in next video. But there's nothing during or after the credit that directly sets up a possible Top Gun 3. Top Gun 2's ending and Pete Mitchell redemption. Top Gun Maverick chronicles that may well be the most important mission in the Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell long novel career. Maverick is called on to train a new group of Top Gun recruits for a mission most would find physically impossible to complete. Likely for everyone involved, Maverick turns out to be a far better teacher than anyone he included would be guessed. Thanks to a Luke Skywalker worthy shot from Lieutenant Bradley Rooster Bradshaw, the enemy's uranium achievement facility is destroyed and a potential nuclear war is averted. However, the sequel is ultimately about Maverick's struggle to finally move on after the death of his best friend Nick Goose Bradshaw Edwards in the original film. Goose's tragic death is one of the key scenes in the original Top Gun, as he is killed when a training exercise goes horribly wrong. So it is only makes sense that Top Gun Maverick ends with an ended track to the mission that forces Maverick and Rooster to finally bury the hatch and work together. Initially, it seems Maverick is about to sacrifice his life to save Rooster from being shot down, thereby repaying the debt as he feels he owes to the Bradshaw family, but one could argue that he would only be perpetuating the circle and passing his guilt into Rooster. Instead, the film has Rooster return to save Maverick, leading both men to make a daring escape abroad and hanging F-14 Tomcat, the same model Maverick and the gang flew in the original movie. Along the way, Maverick proves once and for all the pilot matters more than the machine, as he is able to defeat a highly advanced 5th generation fighter using a absolute model. In short, it's a happy ending for all involved. Maverick and Rooster made peace, and now the farmer finally seems ready to move on and enjoy life on the ground for a change. Only time will tell if this romance with Jennifer Connelly's Penny will succeed, where his fling with Kelly Mitchell's Charlie clearly failed. Alongside Cruise, Val Kilmer is the only Top Gun actor to reprise their role for the sequel, though the film does feature actual footage from the original. Over the course of the movie, we learned Kilmer's Tom Iceman Kosinski has risen through the rank of the Navy and has helped protect his old rival Maverick from being court-martialed for insubordination. Unfortunately, Kosinski is also revealed to be suffering from terminal cancer, much like Goose death in the original movie. Iceman's passing threatened to derail Maverick's life at the worst possible time. There's a reason Iceman is portrayed this way in the sequel. Kilmer has faced serious health issues in recent years, including a prolonged battle with throat cancer and a series of tumors that have severely impacted his ability to speak. That's why Maverick is shown communicating with his old friend mostly through text messages in the film, and why Kilmer only has a handful of spoken lines during his scene with Goose. There was no way to bring back Iceman without acknowledging Kilmer's health trouble, but at the same time, Goose has made it clear that he was not going to do a Top Gun 2 without Kilmer's involvement. One of the more crucial elements of Top Gun Maverick is that the film is never clear on who is villain or. The rival military is only ever referred to as the enemy, and we never actually see the enemy in the flesh apart from a handful of masks. Featureless fighter pilots, the film only reveals 3 details about the enemy. They have a fleet of advanced 5th generation fighter planes. They are working to build a supply of enriched uranium with which to develop an arsenal of nuclear weapons, and they are located in a region with steep mountains and a cold climate. Currently, only a handful of nations are actively developing 5th and 6th generation fighters, and those aircraft that do exist are largely owned by the US, China, and Russia. That was says either of the latter two nations is meant to be the enemy. The frozen train scene in the climax continually evokes images of Russia. On the other hand, Russia and China are already established nuclear powers, where sees the stealthy strike on the uranium artillery facility would seem to point to a smaller adversity like North Korea or Iran. The answer is that there is not really an answer. There is no real world country that matches the enemy as depicted in Top Gun Maverick. Possibly Paramount is wary of stirring up controversy by showing the US Navy carrying out a military strike on a hostile foreign power. Not to mention that with the international box office becoming more and more crucial to the success of expensive blockbuster movies, the studio has a vested interest in not alienating the Chinese market. Even Disney has often struggled with that dilemma. Just like how Marvel and DC often rely on fictional countries as stand-ins for real-world locals, Top Gun Maverick has cooked up a fictional, controversy-free threat of its hotshot pilots to destroy. Even the original film followed that approach, despite the fact that Top Gun shows Maverick and Iceman shooting down several Russian Mi-628 fighters. That film is similarly vague about where the climatic dogfight is taking place and which military the Navy is engaging. Maverick and Rooster's future. Will there be a Top Gun 3? With Top Gun Maverick already tracking to have the best global opening weekend of any Tom Cruise movie to date, it stands to reason a sequel could be in the cards. But if those discussions are happening internally at Paramount, there's no indication just yet. The studio has yet to confirm any plan for a Top Gun 3. Top Gun Maverick currently leaves the door open for a sequel, while Maverick's character arc is more or less complete at this point. There's still plenty of story left to tell the Rooster and his fellow classmates. He may not look it, but Cruise is just weeks shy of his 60th birthday as Top Gun Maverick hits theaters. Any future sequels would likely shift the Maverick character to more of a sporting mentor role, with Miles Taylor and his younger costers taking over the death-defying aerial stunts. Top Gun the Maverick is the second part in Term. That would be sequel be about Top Gun Maverick deal with the clash between old school fighter pilots and a new generation of advanced unnamed drones, and the debate is never entirely settled by the end of the film. Sure, Maverick and Rooster proves there are no substitute for human ingenuity, but their mission also would have been much smaller and less risky if the Navy had been able to dispatch a fleet of unnamed fighters that were not subject to the limits of human endurance. If Top Gun 3 does happen, we would not be surprised to see the clash of varying philosophies become an even bigger part of the palette. Perhaps we will see a newly promoted Pete Mitchell but heads again and Edie Harris character Rear Admiral Kane. Whatever the sequel is about, we just hope it will not take another 36 years to reach the big screen. Although Top Gun's ending seems perfect upon the movie's original release, Top Gun Maverick proves the movie needed its original alternate ending. Top Gun has a surprisingly complicated story for such a simple, straightforward cult classic. Maverick's need for speed drives the main plot, and his rivalry with Iceman provides most of the movie's conflict after Goose's death. Maverick is forced to contend with his own mortality, and the final act of Top Gun sees him come to terms with his ego, embrace his talents, and finally learn to work as part of a team. This storyline is fairly straightforward. However, test audience thought the movie was missing something, and reshoots added in Top Gun's infamously bad scenes to plaster the movie remains subplot. Appropriately enough, many of Maverick's scenes with Charlie feels as if they were added from another movie. Tom Cruise and Kaylee McNeil don't share much chemistry, but the bigger problem is that Charlie doesn't play a major role in Top Gun's story. The reason Top Gun Maverick left out Charlie is because she didn't central to Maverick's character growth. This is a big problem for a love interest and badly impacts Top Gun's ending. Top Gun Maverick's penny plot proves Top Gun has the wrong ending. Top Gun's originally ended with Maverick's visiting Goose grave and Charlie and Iceman. But the filmmaker justified his reflective scene in favor of Maverick's reuniting with his love interest. Cruise hero picking up Charlie after his successful mission soon become an iconic pop culture moment. But Top Gun Maverick's relationship about their fate made Top Gun's romantic ending terrible. The sequel almost immediately proved that Top Gun's big romantic moment was meaningless when Top Gun Maverick's character never even mentioned Charlie. Despite all of Top Gun Maverick's returning character, Maverick's original love interest doesn't even warrant a name drop in the sequel. Clearly, Maverick and Charlie's romance was not one of the ages. This is unfortunate, but it doesn't necessarily ruin the original movie. What this revelation does ruin in Top Gun's final scene. The creators could have chosen the original ending and set up Top Gun Maverick's storyline in the process, since the sequel provides that Maverick truly never got over the death of his wingman. Goose had defined Maverick's Top Gun Maverick's character arc, so it would have made perfect sense of the original movie to end with Maverick ignoring his love interest and Iceman alike to linger at Goose's grave. Top Gun Maverick proves Top Gun original ending was better. However, that's not the ending they went with. It would be thematically perfect for the movie to end with Maverick at Goose grave instead of Cruise hero whisking Charlie off into the sunset. But Top Gun's original ending was replaced with a more crowd pleasing alternative instead. It would be 36 years long before Maverick returned to screens. So it is fair to say that the filmmakers were not responsible for failing to guess where the sequel story would go. However, upon a rewatch, it is clear that Top Gun's original ending is a better fit after Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick ending explain. In Top Gun Maverick, Tom Cruise, Pete, Maverick Mitchell returned to the Top Gun program in California. While the Navy saw him as a reckless, they needed Pete to scramble a team of young hotshots to bomb a rough uranium archimate facility and prevent possible terrorist attack down the line. And it is resulted in Maverick recruiting Goose son Rooster for the six-man team for the mission. However, things got dicey when they approached the target, reminding Maverick how heated war got. In the process, he and Rooster had to throw out the rule book when they went behind enemy lines. That led a nail-biting explosive finals where both learned about loyalty and trust, bearing the hatchet at last. What happened to enemy base in Top Gun Maverick? Maverick blew the hatch open apart, allowing Rooster to use his plane and drop missiles inside it. The base crumbled with the bombs, but enemy fighters soon gave chase. However, Maverick took the hit for Rooster, going down and seemingly dying, but while Maverick was alive in the snow, an enemy chopper caught up with him. Fortunately, Rooster broke protocols and come back. Rooster then shoots the chopper down, but he also went down in the melee. Thankfully, Maverick found him and chatted Rooster for not escaping. He felt Rooster wasted his sacrifice, angry because he was his way of making up for when Goose died in the first movie. Ultimately, both guys realizes how much they mean to each other and decided to make a play to get home. How did Pete and Rooster escape in Top Gun Maverick? Maverick and Rooster snuck into the enemy base, stealing an F-14 jet. However, while it was old school tech, unlike their F-18s, Maverick knew how to fly it. Despite being backed up and parts not working, they got onto the taxiway. They bombed the runway earlier in their assault, so they made the risky play of taking off here from their short distance, knowing highly advanced hunter jets would come after them. As much as they tried to fake it in the sky, the enemy jets knew that they were Americans and a dogfight ensued. With Rooster unable to inject as they sped across the water back to their ship, he begged Maverick to do what he would do if Roosters were not there: throw caution to the wind and take them out by breaking the rules. Thankfully, Maverick did just that, but that flares and ammo done, they got confronted by a third jet, who saved Pete and Rooster in Top Gun Maverick. But just when it seems like the two had no hope, Hangman, the arrogant jerk who gave Rooster hell throughout, showed up and blew the opposition away. He was bitter that he got left out of the mission for being a selfish pilot, but he proved to be a team player. Hangman accepted he was a liability, but made things right by escorting the guys home. The Navy started celebrating the victory, especially the younger generation who put egos aside. Rooster finally accepted Maverick as a substitute parent, no longer playing him for his dad's death, and the movie ended with Maverick back at base, meeting with his crush Penny and her daughter, ready to settle down as a hero. Top Gun Maverick ending: return to the danger zone. The Top Gun question you will be asking yourself before you head to the cinema to see Top Gun Maverick will of course be: do I feel the need for speed? Talk to the Goose in the advertising writing check the sequel cannot cash? Absolutely not. Top Gun Maverick is sure to take your breath away. This is a high-octane thrill ride featuring the joyous return of a beloved character with spectacular action sequence and an emotional heart 36 years in the making. So does our eponymous hero make it through this second deadly mission. Tom Cruise does miss a beat in Top Cruise. Right from the opening scene, we are placed firmly in the Top Gun would be no danger zone, blasting through the speakers and Captain Beat Maverick Mitchell speeding through the air in his role as a test pilot. This sequel wastes no time letting the audience know our appetite for nostalgia will be seated before it gets going, delivering a knockout film that is both fresh and exhilarating. Maverick is still degrading his superior officers and putting himself and his plane at risk to achieve his goals. He needs to achieve Mach 10 in the prototype plane, a literal need for speed, to avoid his test program being shut down and having the brass replace human pilots with artificial intelligence. Of course, he achieves his objectives. But the victory is short lived as he pushes beyond the limits of the new technology and ends up crashing the plane. There might be new tech, but it's still the same old Maverick. It doesn't take long for Tom Cruise to dust off the iconic leather jacket and take to the streets on the motorbike, making his way back to Top Gun to train a new generation of graduates from a high-specialized operation to blow up a weapons base deep in enemy territory. Only the best of the best will be selected, and it is likely they will all return from his seemingly impossible mission. Miles Miller Rooster is a key new character. This battle pill becomes even harder to swallow when we discover one of the planets vying for selections is Rooster, the gasoline of Maverick's old friend and partner Goose, who died when they flew together in the first Top Gun. The other recruit, including female pilot Phoenix, Monica Barbaro, Argent, Hotshot, Hangman, Glen Paul, who acts and flies like a young Maverick, Payback, Jay Ellis, and Bob Levish Pullman are all worthy candidates even though none can complete the mission in training. Rooster flies with the weight of his father's sacrifice upon him, and he is unwilling to believe Maverick's reckless style of flying is the key to success. He has succumbed to overthinking with Maverick's old warning hovering in the air: "You don't have time to think up there. If you think, you are dead." Considering Maverick has already attempted to trail Rooster's career with a Navy by pulling his papers years ago, and Rooster's careful approach to the dangerous mission, does the young chick have any real chance of being selected? Val Kilmer returns as Iceman in Top Gun Maverick. Then the Iceman comic, the emotional return of Val Kilmer brings Maverick wisdom and calms his inner turmoil. His guidance helps Maverick make his decision on what he has to come next. Maverick takes to the seas to show the recruit his plan can work, but only if they learn to fly like him. It seems all but inevitable that the curious Rooster to doomed to be as grounded as his namesake, and the Hangman will be chosen to fly alongside Maverick given the similar wildcard style of flying. However, Maverick is finally able to confront the ghost of his past and chooses Payback, Bob, Phoenix, and Rooster to accompany him on the mission. In the tense third act, we see the team complete the mission and destroy the target despite Rooster's initial cautious flying. However, they are behind schedule, and even though they have pulled off the numerous dangerous maneuvers needed to succeed in eliminating their target, they still have a dogfight on their hands as the enemy closes in. The rest of the team makes it to safety, but Maverick is stranded behind enemy lines with no plan and nowhere to hide. It's looked like he will make the ultimate sacrifice until boom, Rooster has finally embraced the unorthodox disobeyed order and flown back to save Maverick. The dogfight is not over, and Rooster is also forced to jetscon from his plane. The two attempted to reconcile while also outrunning the enemy until death catches up with them once again. With nowhere to go and the enemy closing in, we know that the rest of the team has made it safely back to their ship. Maverick and Rooster still are not out of the woods and must now find a way back to the ship themselves, settling on stealing an enemy fighter and using their spectacular set of skills to survive. The only plane they find is an old F-14 that nostalgia has caught up with us again, and it sails our heroes into the sunset and to safety, also courtesy of Hangman who joins the mission just in the time to redeem himself and help save the day and our intricate palace. And for the real reason you came here, yes, there is a homage to the very memorable Shiltis volleyball scene. This time it's a double part game of beach football, but where they are playing is of little consequence. The scene merely needs to deliver glistening abs on the sand at sunset, and boy, does it deliver. It is a testament to how high Top Gun Maverick showed in the rest of its story that this time the glistening abs are merely a post script. Given the actor's reputation for wild stunts, it's not surprising that many viewers were wondering did Tom Cruise actually fly in Top Gun Maverick? Joseph Kosinski's sequel has surpassed the original 1986 Top Gun with its box office success and a Best Picture nomination. Much of this has to do with how the movie prioritized potential effect over CGI, adding authentically to the aerial action. That said, while it's no secret that Tom Cruise does his own stunts a lot, some of the tricks pre-posed for Top Gun Maverick were a little too ambitious even by Tom Cruise standards. Cruise signed on the project only with the assurance that the film's effect would not rely on CGI. Cruise was so ambitious that he had initially hoped to fly a real being F-18 fighter jet. A certified pilot, Cruise is well accomplished to high-octane aviation stunts. Many Cruise fans will know that he performed many of the more impressive helicopter stunts in 2018's Mission Impossible Fallout. However, Bruckheimer maintained that the US Navy ultimately denied Cruise's request to fly the Super Hornet, which boasts a price tag of over $70 million. Why it's sensible that Tom Cruise was not allowed to fight jet. The Super Hornet jet does feature in the sequel, but Tom Cruise did not fly them in Top Gun Maverick, as those scenes were all completed with assistance from Navy pilots. According to producer Bruckheimer, Cruise does fly a P-51 propel-driven fighter plane as well as some helicopters. With the assistance of skill editing, the action sequences are convincing to even the best trained eye. There's no confirmation about why the US Navy might have denied Cruise's aspiration to pilot a Super Hornet, even though the actor has experience flying Top Gun's supersonic military aircraft. However, the most logical reason would be insurance concern, which is always enough for a consideration to prevent actors from doing their own stunts. The cost of the plane also figures in this. A real F-18 Super Hornet would make up roughly half of Top Gun Maverick's $152 million budget. That would likely create logistical nightmare of the film's insurance. That's not even to mention insuring Cruise himself, who thought already a certified pilot may not have the specific training required to fly the F-18 safely. Insurance whose aside should be inexperienced pilots such as Cruise lose control of a high-speed aircraft. It could also mean peril of civilization and our military panels are on the ground. Besides, while Tom Cruise does his own stunts to great effect, the real Navy pilot in Top Gun Maverick brought more than enough authenticity to the sequel. Why does Tom Cruise likely to do his own stunts? The real reason why Tom Cruise does his own stunts is simple. It's the best way to tell whatever story is at hand. In the actor's own words, it has to do with storytelling. It allows us to put cameras in place that you are not normally able to do. Indeed, if the lead actor in an action movie is able to physically perform the character stunts, this removes the necessity to shoot from stage angle or use editing tricks to make dangerous scenes appear real. This ultimately translates to smooth action sequence and scenes closer to the writer, stunt coordinator, and director's vision. Moreover, whenever Cruise puts himself in danger for a risky stunts, anywhere involved from the film crew to the audience is much more invested in the results a level of authenticity that simply cannot be achieved in many other way. Outside of the Top Gun series, this stunning effect can also be observed in the stunt-filled Mission Impossible franchise. The F-18 Super Hornet requires an advanced pilot. While Tom Cruise did really fly in Top Gun Maverick with certain aircrafts, confirming his exceptional pilot skills, the F-18 Super Hornet are not the kind of plane just everyone can jump into and take off. It requires specially trained pilots to separate these aircraft given that immense power and the danger involved. Some of the impressive specifics about the plane via military include its maximum speed of 1190 mph and the ability to climb 15,000 foot per minute. Such power is needed as the Super Hornet have a 30 to 500 lb weight while empty, which can increase to 66,000 lbs, and its maximum weapons loads. It seems as tough Tom Cruise will do anything for his stunts, and that likely include the necessary training to handle an aircraft like this. However, even if he was denied that opportunity, the Super Hornet did come at a discount price. It was reported that the movie rented the Super Hornet from the US Navy for over $11,000 in an hour. However, given the Top Gun Maverick more than surpasses box office expectation, it seems as tough it was a price worth paying. Top Gun Maverick is not the only movie to feature Tom Cruise really flying a plane. While Tom Cruise didn't get to fly an F-18 in Top Gun Maverick, he did get to pilot his own P-51 in the Top Gun sequel. The Maverick is not the only movie that used real footage of him in the cockpit. He has flown helicopters and planes throughout the Mission Impossible franchise. Notably, he spent hours learning to become an expert helicopter pilot for a single stunt in Mission Impossible Fallout in 2018. Mark Wolf, the aerial coordinator on Mission Impossible Fallout, revealed that Cruise spent upward of 2,000 hours in the cockpit training for the sequence. Flying a helicopter takes a lot of skill to push someone like Tom into a situation like this is almost impossible to imagine. Most pilots would not attempt this. You make a mistake, somebody is going to die from it. However, it's not just in this franchise movie like the Top Gun Maverick and the Mission Impossible franchise that Tom Cruise flexed his skill as a pilot. In the 2017 action comedy American Made, Tom Cruise played Barry Seal, a real airline pilot who became a drug smuggler from a cartel. While playing Seal, Tom Cruise performed several stunts flying a twin-engine Piper Swift Aerostol 600. Tom Cruise stunts in American Made came with some controversy tough while he was not directly involved in the incident. Two stunt pilots on set unfortunately passed away during a plane crash while filming. A lawsuit allowed, and while Cruise was not directly implicated, the family did partially blame him and director Doug Liam for encouraging a culture of pushing boundaries at the expense of safety in order to get the best shoots possible. Tom Cruise wildest stunt. By Tom Cruise, all reckoning the wildest and most dangerous stunts he has ever performed is when he hung on to a moving plane in Mission Impossible Rough Nation, the fifth movie in the Mission Impossible series. Not surprisingly for Tom Cruise, flying a Super Hornet would qualify as a less dangerous stunt, and that would have at least required the actor to be inside the plane. Although Cruise was harnessed to the plane in Mission Impossible Rough Nation, no amount of safety persuasion could amount for all the inherent dangers involved with a person wearing virtually no protection while hanging onto a moving aircraft. This just goes to show level of sheer dedication Cruise brings to this movie projection. However, recently Cruise was suggested a new stunt in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 might be his wildest stunt young, which involved Cruise jumping a motorcycle off a cliff and then parachuting to safety. Top Gun Maverick Tom Cruise record looks even more unbeatable 2 years after Top Gun Maverick's incredible box office success. it looks less and less likely that Tom Cruise will ever star in a biggest movie than the hit sequel. Viewers waited a long time for Top Gun Maverick, 34 years after the original movie hit cinemas. Viewers were prepared to finally see its sequel on the big screen in 2020. Then the COVID-19 pandemic hit and another 2 years were added to the multi-decade wait between franchise installments. The pressure on the sequel was immense and it was reasonable to assume no movie could live up to its pre-release hype. However, by the time Tom Cruise Top Gun Maverick's ending ruled around, it was clear that Tom Cruise's vehicle had gone the impossible. Top Gun Maverick was better than the Top Gun with more emotional depth, sharper action sequence, and a more streamlined story than its predecessors. It is hard to see how Top Gun 3's story could hope to top the conflict between Goose and Maverick, one that was strengthened by the sheer length of time between franchise outings. Cruise Maverick aged visibly between outings and has made Top Gun Maverick a more poignant viewing experience than anticipated. Top Gun Maverick is likely to remain Tom Cruise's biggest movie ever. Top Gun Maverick critical success was reflected in its box office performance, with the movie becoming the biggest hit of Tom Cruise's career. Top Gun Maverick made a historically huge $1.4 billion at the global box office, becoming the biggest hit of 2020 thanks to Avatar: The Way of Water December release date, while Top Gun Maverick made Top Gun's ending worse with its revelation about the franchise's unstable protagonist. The sequel managed to outdo all of Cruise's earlier success at the box office in the process. Even the Mission Impossible series, another historically successful franchise, could not compete with it. Top Gun Maverick's success could be attributed to several factors, including ranging from its old summer arrival to a lack of robust competition at the box office to a growing desire among cinema goers to return the theaters. The immersive, intense section benefited from big screen viewing, but Cruise's status as one of a dwindling number of true A-hit filmmakers also helped the sequel. However, the performance of his movies both before and after Top Gun Maverick makes it clear that the sequel will not be outdone anytime soon, and he may never be able to duplicate its massive financial success. Top Gun Maverick massively outperformed 1980's original Top Gun. Before the sequel release, it seems impossible that Top Gun Maverick could hope to out-earn Top Gun. Top Gun made $357 million in 1986, which, although it may sound like a paltry sum, was a stretching amount of money at the time. Adjusted for inflation, this would have amounted to $924.4 million in 2022. Since Cruise's biggest movie before Top Gun Maverick, Mission Impossible Fallout, earned only $791 million, this feat seems almost impossible until Top Gun Maverick arrived. Top Gun Maverick not only outdated this number but ended up becoming one of the 12 highest grossing movies of all time. Regardless of Top Gun's 3 plot, it is hard to see how the sequel could not only repeat but undo his historic success. Top Gun 3 could now need to earn over $1.4 billion to become Cruise's biggest movie ever, meaning it would be among the 10 most successful movies in the box office history. Until recently, it seems as if Cruise's other lucrative franchise, the Mission Impossible movie, could have produced a prequel that would outdo Top Gun's follow-up. However, 2023's box office proved that this is not necessarily true thanks to one unexpected underperformer. Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 made only $566 million at box office 14 months after the release of Top Gun Maverick, proving that Tom Cruise's star power is not unstable.